Hi guys, I'm gonna take you through my day-to-day, showing you how I use Grainchek. The goal building Grainchek was to create tools, kind of some buttons and levers, and for the purpose of building a time tracking tool that works for you individually and how you track your time. And so you can see this is my list of tasks for the project that I'm working on today. So I'm going to start my day by hitting the start button as I get ready to load tools into my vehicle. So now that I've got the tools loaded for this particular project, I don't see that I've added a loading task. So I'm going to create a new task. I'll call it loading or load. And now that I've completed loading my vehicle, I'm going to take a photo of the tools I'm going to be adding to the job site today. You can see that that task called load now took me 3 minutes and 36 seconds to go get my table saw, my belt sander, and that card depicts the picture that I just took, along with today's date, the time, the amount of time spent from the time I hit the start button until I hit the load or took the picture of the tools loaded. And now that I'm in my vehicle, ready to drive, I'm gonna make a note of my odometer reading under the travel task. The reason I put it under the travel task is that I want to be able to search. I want to be able to put a feed that. Let me get my miles right here. I want to be able to create a feed later at the end of the year when I'm doing my taxes, so I can figure out exactly how many miles were put on the vehicle. And so I always use the same task. So to simplify that task later. And so that odometer reading gets posted with the card, travel, date, time, and now I begin my trip to work. If I was driving in a vehicle that I'm not tracking the miles for, I wouldn't hit the travel button until I got to the job site. So I've arrived at the job site, and I've taken care of some odds and ends on my phone. I'm about ready to start unloading and working on the job site, which would be considered starting my billable time. I don't know exactly what task I'm going to start on, but for now I know that I have finished my trip to the job site, and I could right now take a photo, use the camera icon button there with travel, but out of privacy for the homeowner, I'm going to just hit the travel button, which creates a card, updates the card to the current date and time, and so I can see right away that I've traveled for 40 minutes and 33 seconds. So I started my day today on the 25th of February at 8:48. I hit the start button for this project because I added a task. Just this great example. So I've got a bunch of tasks for this project, and yesterday I added electrical because I was just reporting that there was electric work that had been done. So I'm going to include that in this feed, and then this morning I added the load task, so I'm going to include that in this feed as well. A note on kind of the philosophy behind Grainchek. The idea is that it's a tool. And so this is a great example where I added these tasks in, and we could have built Grainchek so that it automatically included those tasks in every feed. But the idea is that I, as the user, have control over which tasks go into which feed. And so I didn't want to automate the process of adding tasks to the feed. If I create a feed, I can add that task manually. I can decide. I have that decision of what I want to include in this feed. It doesn't automatically go there and unintentionally, maybe unintentionally, be included. So now if I check this feed, I can see that the load task that I performed this morning of 3 minutes and 36 seconds is included. So go back over my day. 8:48 a.m. hit the start button. 8:52 a.m. I finished loading my vehicle, so I had 3 minutes 36 seconds. Then 2 minutes and 10 seconds later, I gave an odometer reading under the travel task, and finally I'm now here at the job site at 9:35. 40 minutes and 33 seconds later, and I'm ready to start my day. So I'm going to go about my day, and I don't know what my first task is. I don't have to hit a start button for a task. It's going to then, when I'm completed that task, it will, in the same way that it's been calculating time all morning, you can see here, that value of how much time was spent will be calculated based on from that timestamp till the last, in this case, this travel event at 9:35 this morning. And that's what the new duration will be generated for that new task. The first task that I had to work on this morning was preparing for cabinets, and I've gotten to the point where I'm done now preparing for the cabinets, and I want to go on to do a different task. So I'm going to take a moment, and this time I'm going to demonstrate just what we're calling a quick component at the top here. It's another way of posting events to your feed. So as you can see, I'm still in my feed down the bottom, but I can pull up my list of tasks, and I don't have a cabinet task yet, so I'm going to add that task from this screen. And then, because I'm gonna do it before and after, and I wanna track the time that I've spent up till this point. I wanna track that toward the cabinets. I'm gonna use this chance to take a photo. This is where the cabinets will go. And so now that event, if I update this, it doesn't show up. Come in again. This is control, so that I, as a user, have control over which tasks get included in this feed. And now that cabinet task of 23 minutes and 11 seconds is included in the feed. And just a note that the total time for this feed at the top of 43 hours, 44 minutes, and 49 seconds includes every event that is included in this feed. So here again, I'm going to be installing trim, and I've got two bedrooms to install trim in, so I'm going to put baseboard trim. I I've got a little apron and a cap to put in up here. So I'm going to take a before photo. I selected the trim task. So that card is noted as 4 minutes and 36 seconds. That's just the setup time to get prepared to do this work. That gets recorded toward the task called trim. And then when I'm complete with doing this work, or as I do progress photos, each of those progress events for trim get added to that trim task. So I spent a little time in that room preparing for trim. Now in the second bedroom, what I need to do is take you in nice and close. Here where the drywall meets the beam, I got to clean that up, and so I'm going to take a photo, a before photo and an after, all under the trim task. And what that does, so on this card I see 22 minutes, exactly 22 minutes. Technically that was spent in the other room, because I'm taking this as a progress photo of working on trim in general. In this case, the second bedroom, I'm now going to be cleaning up that joint between the drywall and the beam. So once again, got just a progress photo I'm going to take of the beam all cleaned up. And this goes into the feed as a trim event, so 17 minutes and 36 seconds. I'm including this time under the trim task for my own purposes. This is just the way I'm organizing my time management and how I categorize the work I've accomplished. The goal, again, is a tool that can be used in a number of different ways, depending on how the user organizes their time and what kind of responsibilities they're reporting. So I've got some trim pieces to cut, and I've made some notes under the trim task. When I go down to my cut station, I have at least some information to help remember what I was thinking through. So then I can add a photo to this as well. And then I can still review when I'm done, post this event. Okay, so I've made some cuts, have the left room basically done with trim. I'm going to take a lunch break, and in this case, lunch breaks are not billable. So I'm going to select the task that best describes what I've been doing again, and in this case it's trim. I'm not going to start lunch. I'm just going to it's not really finished trim, but it's I'm going to note a trim event. So I've taken my lunch. I don't really have a picture to take. I'm just gonna hit the break button, and my break event is posted to the feed, and it's time to get back to work. Okay, so I've completed the trim. Time to start cleaning up. Move on to cabinets. So I'm just going to take a picture of the trim and fire up the vacuum. Okay, so I've got a piece of flooring to rip down. So I need to make sure for this demonstration, I'm gonna make sure that I track my time up to this point as trim. Just take a picture of my workstation quick. And now I'm gonna rip the flooring, and really it's just as far as a demonstration that this time now will be tracked toward flooring, but I ended that time previously as trim, and now I'm beginning my full flooring. So the day is complete. I've made my travel trip home, so I'm going to enter my odometer reading. For the end of the day, I'm not going to take a picture. Right, so what's it look like? I'll start from the beginning, just quickly go over the day. So 8:48, started, loaded the vehicle, traveled to the job site, 40 minutes, started my work billable time at 9:35. Worked on cabinets just for 23 minutes, getting that area prepared. Then moved to trim. Installed the trim in both bedrooms. Took lunch break. Somewhere in there, the cabinets arrived on the job site. Has some cut lists here. Trim is complete. Cleaned up. Put the furniture back in place. Opened up some of the cabinet boxes. Took some measurements and had to address a floor issue. So this is before, and then some chipping. And cleaned up, put all my tools back, and traveled home. That's a day.